Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. The purchase and pricing email inquiry line for you, to me and my crew, for your questions about the price of this or any watch you see here on Watchbox Reviews, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. And today we're discussing the Rolex Oyster Perpetual Cosmograph Daytona reference 116509, 40 millimeters in white gold. This is a current spec model that represents the best of everything. It has a wonderful slate gray dial that's a sort of semi-Panda spec, and of course all in white gold with matching bezel. It's a different aesthetic than the current generation steel watch, so it doesn't look like just another white metal Cosmograph. 40 millimeters in diameter, the watch is 12.2 millimeters thick, and if you were to measure it lug to lug, it's 47.7 millimeters, but if you measure it end link to end link, the true distance across the wrist is 51.8 millimeters with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Let's quickly throw it on my wrist of 16 centimeters circumference. You get a sense of how this watch wears. Comfortable, flat, low, easily fitting underneath any cuff. This is a wonderful option for those who have traditional tastes in complications and sizing, as well as a unisex option for ladies who want to get into a high quality, iconic man's watch, and at the same time you don't want to be overwhelmed by the sheer bulk of the thing. Rolex has held the line on the size of this watch since 1988, and I don't see it changing anytime soon, so there's absolutely zero planned obsolescence in the Daytona line. Now, that said, quality does improve over time, and with a solid end link, solid center link, milled clasp Oyster bracelet, you're getting something that feels as solid as the platinum Rolex bracelets of yesteryear. Satin finished flanks, polished centers, polished outer facing. You can see gaps on the underside to vent the wrist and avoid pinching skin or pulling hair. Screw fixed removable links, so you have a screwdriver, you can size this bracelet. Now there's a fully polished internal to the clasp. The swing arm is polished. You can see that there is a beak and a hook system, so there's a lift lock. Watch it latch shut. That's the first. You can't pull this thing open. It's locked twice, once, twice, and you can see straight through polish with satin flanks. There's a little kerf to make it easier to dig in your nail to open up the clasp. Inside the clasp, 5 millimeter easy link adjustment system. It's the equivalent of adding or removing one sizable link, and then you can see there are a couple of little divots drilled in there with tracks leading in to make it easier to line up the spring bar with those divots. If you want to change the anchoring point inside of the clasp with a strap tool, you can do that. So you have 3 different ways to adjust the sizing of that bracelet and clasp. All polished case flanks with a little bit of a flatted profile at the end of the lug. This is a design that is distinct from what's known as the super case, which bowed on the GMT in 2005. The sides aren't sheer, they're rounded. They have a compound curvature. They have a complex curvature about them, and you can see that light moves in flame-like fashion across this surface. So this is a case with grace and lovely tapered lugs. Screw down crown, screw down chronograph pushers, 100 meters water resistant. Note that it's a trip lock crown in gold. You know this because it has a small center dot and flanking tiny dots. It would be the inverse if that were platinum. So you can see the bezel, setting this apart from a current generation steel model, as it features all metal construction rather than ceramic, white gold of course, and lacquered numerals as well as indices. Now what's important about Rolex white gold, first, they make their bracelets, their clasps, and their cases. They make all of that, but they also smelt their own gold in their own foundry, and they use gray gold, whereas regular white gold is milky yellow and it needs to be coated with rhodium every once in a while just to recoat and achieve the whiteness. You don't need to achieve whiteness here by coating or plating, as gray gold is 18 karat and white straight through, so it never needs to be plated, and if scratched it doesn't show another color through. The dial is sensational. It's not quite a Panda, as it features more of a slate gray sunburst with black registers. White gold hands, white gold indices, that red Daytona script at 6 o'clock, black registers with white print, and then there's that white gold Rolex crown. The white gold is there so none of the hands or indices tarnish over time. We'll take a look at the lume shot in a moment underneath the case back, which is solid gold and adds substantially to the heft of the watch. You have the 44 jewel 72-hour automatic caliber 4130. 3-day power reserve, vertical clutch, and a column wheel. The column wheel means it is crisp actuation as you start, stop, and reset the chronograph. The feel comes from the column wheel, and the smoothness with no jump or stagger comes from the vertical clutch. Also, because the vertical clutch, you can leave the chronograph running full time if you prefer to have seconds, minutes, and hours at center, just ignore the chronograph registers. There's a stop seconds function, and it beats away at 28,800 vibrations per hour. It's adjusted in 6 positions as a fully cased up watch, but before that, it goes through the COSC chronometer test and earns a certificate. It also features an overcoil hairspring, Breguet overcoil made by hand, to better help it achieving those COSC and Rolex in-house chronometry standards. By the way, Rolex in-house is -2 + 2 seconds per day or better. The watch also has a full balance bridge with a free-sprung index for shock resistance, a bearing rather than a jeweled staff for the winding rotor, also for shock resistance, and that overcoil hairspring is made of a blue oxidized niobium zirconium alloy called Parachrom Blue that is highly anti-magnetic. So you have a water-resistant, shock-resistant, anti-magnetic sports chronograph, ready for the 24 hours of Daytona. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details. The Rolex Daytona in Rolex's proprietary Chromolite Blue Lume by Night.